Why on earth is the Central Intelligence Agency, America's top spy agency, sending representatives into these revenge cell meetings with the White House to go after the president's targets? This is completely rife for abuse. It screams civil rights and civil liberties violations. And right now, we don't have insights into what that organization is doing other than this reporting that they are talking about the president's key targets for revenge.
On the line with us, Miles Taylor, the former chief of staff for the Department of Homeland Security, tech and security expert, author of Warning by Anonymous and Blowback, his Substack newsletter, which is excellent. It's free. You need to sign up for it. It's called Treason with Miles Taylor. And he's now one of the co-founders of Defiance.org. Also on the line is Maria McFarland Sanchez-Moreno, an attorney and the CEO of Represent.us, Represent Us. And Miles and Maria, so glad to have you both with us. Miles, let me start with you, if I may. You've been on the program before. Tell us about this new program that you guys are launching.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you having us. And look, the short version of it is this. I've spent a number of years speaking out against Donald Trump, of course, after having served in his administration and then leaving and opposing him. And earlier this year, he came after me and retaliated by launching an investigation into me and accusing me of treason. And in the wake of that, I had a lot of folks come out of the woodwork and say, how can I help? What can I do? And at first, that was people who wanted to help me and my family. And we were lucky to get the support that we needed. But then I realized a lot of people were asking this question who just wanted to be involved in this fight to restrain a would-be autocrat, Donald Trump. And the fact that there was not an easy and direct answer to that question made me feel like we needed to create something to direct people to the vast array of terrific causes out there to fight back against what we are seeing in this country. And that ultimately evolved into Defiance.org. We are not creating a new organization to do this work. We are creating a collective action club for people to be a part of, where we can go support great groups that are pushing back all around the country. And we need it to be dynamic because this administration is trying to flood the zone with lawlessness. And so that's what Defiance is meant to be. And I've said to folks, Tom, really, it comes down to two choices when you are facing a would-be autocrat. You can either choose to submit or choose to defy. There is no middle ground right now. And I'm hoping that most Americans will choose the path of defiance. And we want to be a club for courageous Americans to go make that possible.
That's brilliant. And the website, again, is defiance.org. I was just over there. Maria McFarland Sanchez-Moreno, tell us about Represent.us and your affiliation with this new club.
Thanks so much. So Represent Us has been doing work to hold the U.S. government accountable, make it more accountable to the people, for over a decade. We've been working on issues of money in politics, corruption, gerrymandering, all sorts of dysfunctions in our democratic system that have in many ways landed us where we are today. And this year, we have been very focused on the dramatic effort coming from the top of our government to erode democratic norms. And in particular, what we've been doing is trying to mobilize people to put pressure on Congress. Our Congress has been operating as a rubber stamp. It has the power to check the executive. It has the duty to uphold the Constitution, but it has not been exercising its authority. And constituents actually have the power to make their representatives listen to them. Despite all the problems in our system, our representatives do have to get elected again. And that means that people all over the country do have the ability to make their voices heard and make that part of the system work. So we have launched our own campaign, the Congressional Courage Campaign, to help people find the best way to communicate with their representative and put pressure on them, again, to uphold the Constitution, exercise oversight of the executive branch, and reform the system ultimately to make it better. And we've been tremendously grateful to Defiance.org and to Miles, one, for standing up at a time when too many people are scared, and two, for including us as one of the groups that they are supporting in this initial launch of Defiance.org. The fact is, we need people to stand up. I grew up under an autocracy abroad, and the way it operates, the fuel for autocracy is fear. It's fear, extortion, it's retribution, like what you're seeing against Miles. And the only way to push back on that is to not be afraid, to stand up to the autocratic moves, and to do so together, as Miles said, through collective action.
It makes so very much sense. So, Miles, if somebody goes over to Defiance.org, what happens? Walk us through the process. Exactly, how people can interact or work with you guys, and what the outcome is, hopefully.
Well, look, it's two big things. One is folks can sign this declaration of defiance, and there's a lot of declarations and signups out there. The reason this is different is this is meant to be a mutual defense pact for all Americans. If Donald Trump attacks one of us unlawfully, it's an attack on all of us and all of our rights. And it's a statement that we stand by that. Nonprofit groups are doing that by banding together and treating an attack on one as an attack on all of them. Heck, Hollywood actors have formed a group called the Committee for the First Amendment to do the same for each other. Everyday Americans need to resist the lawlessness of this administration by agreeing to stick together. That's piece one. But then piece two, Thom, is folks can join this Club for Courageous Americans. There's barely any barrier to entry. They can contribute $1 or $1,000 a month, whatever they want. And we pool our resources to go support incredible groups around the country, because there is no one group out there that's going to be able to hold Donald Trump accountable for his unconstitutional expansion of presidential power. There's all kinds of groups, people pushing back against ICE, people shining a light on corruption, organizations providing legal defense funds for targets of revenge. There's a lot of different groups. And I think many of us, myself included, feel like we need to be just as dynamic as the threat is. And so by joining once a month, you're going to get a briefing. We're all going to come together. We're going to talk about the different groups that we can support. And then we are going to choose together what groups that we want to back. And then we will give members of Defiance the option to get more personally involved with those groups and those activations. So we are going to be very, very active out there in helping people find those good causes and going and taking decisive action to make a difference in this environment and to keep our country from falling into an autocracy. That's really what this is all about at the end of the day, is defying instead of submitting.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And if my endorsement carries any weight, feel free to slap it on there. Maria, represent us. You guys have been around for a while, and you gave us a little bit of background. What other kind of groups are you affiliated with and hoping to affiliate with through this new Defiance.org club?
Yeah, so Defiance.org, I think, has a number of groups that you're supporting, including Norm Eisen's Democracy Defenders, who do litigation, and
Whistleblower Aid,
which is crucial because it's so important right now to provide support to people who are on the inside, who have any kind of power, and who can also tell us what's happening, as Miles has in the past. And I think there's still more people in there who are trying in their own way to make things better and prevent the worst. But look, we have partnered over the years with groups all over the country in state and local campaigns. We have focused on grassroots mobilization and communications in ways that are super accessible, that break down problems with corruption and threats to our democracy in a way that are easy for people to understand, and then bringing people in to mobilize them and to support campaigns for state and local reform. So we've been part of that. We've been working closely with all of those groups for years, and now we're bringing all of those strengths to bear on putting pressure on Congress, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is to connect inside the Beltway groups who have been trying to push Congress, through advocacy for many years, and help connect them to the grassroots groups that are operating at a state and local level, and the activists who are part of our digital mobilization infrastructure to, again, put pressure on those members of Congress.
Stuff.
Not just people asking for things, it's the constituents saying, no, you need to do this.
Yeah, this is great stuff. This is great stuff. Miles, I have about a minute and a half before we hit a hard break. I can't stop. At your website, treason.io, your Substack newsletter, I believe it's your most recent one, White House secretly assembling a revenge cell for Trump with spy agencies and cops. Can you give us a brief overview of that?
I think that folks expected, Tom, that Donald Trump was going to come in and engage in retribution. That was something that he forecast. What people didn't expect is the scale and scope. And he has executed a whole of government revenge strategy. And the reason I highlighted this the other day is there's the extraordinary fact that there are now dozens of senior officials from across departments and agencies meeting on a regular basis with the White House to talk about the president's targets for revenge. And on that list of agencies that was most concerning to me is the CIA. And Americans should rightfully be asking, why on earth is the Central Intelligence Agency, America's top spy agency, sending representatives into these revenge cell meetings with the White House to go after the president's targets? This is completely rife for abuse. It screams civil rights and civil liberties violations. And right now, we don't have insights into what that organization is doing other than this reporting, that they are talking about the president's key targets for revenge and trying to put the wheels in motion inside the government to bring prosecutions against these individuals. All Americans should be concerned about this. It affects all of our rights. And the question is, where does this go next before we stop it?
It looks like they're looking for people who might have tried to prosecute Trump. But it goes beyond that, right?
That seems right. I mean, look, at the outset, Donald Trump wanted to get revenge against the people who had investigated him. But now that cohort of targets has expanded. It's expanded to entire sectors of our society, as you well know.
Yeah,
and that's what's really insidious.
Yeah, Miles Taylor, defiance.org and treason.io, Maria McFarland, Sanchez-Moreno, represent.us. Hang on just a second. I'm going to get stepped on here.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Miles and Maria, thank you so much for dropping by today. It's great to meet you, Maria, and great to see you again, Miles. Thank you.
Great to be with you.